I'm sitting down today. I'm meeting me for coffee with the amazing Paul Reddick. You've known him because he's one of the most amazing and accomplished blues players in all of Canada. He's won a Juno as well. How's it going, Paul?
It's going fine. Thanks for having me, George. Pleasure to be here.
My pleasure. Checking out your music. I love uh, checking out discographies and just giving it the time to listen. Alive in Italia was unreal. You know what? There's no words to explain how I felt listening to that because I was listening to it when I was outside. I continued as I came inside and enjoyed dinner and the feel of blues. So when you sit back and you compose a song or you jam with somebody, is blues in your heart or how does it happen for you?
Well, I suppose for me, it's kind of an overall, I refer to it as a landscape.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not really a traditional blues musician, but I play in that world, that emotional world that those notes create.
Yeah, and you've had some decent success. You've had songs placed in Due South, which is a Canadian show, Dawson's Creek, and of course, I Am a Criminal was in the Coca-Cola commercial as well. How does that work with publishing? Is that a different realm in regards to getting paid with playing, performing, and whatever? Is there a deal for publishing when a company like Coca-Cola comes out and says, "Hey, we'd like to use your song in our commercial"? Do they give you like a front fee or how's that work?
They did in that case, yeah. They pay. Called a licensing fee, and then I guess it's the same for TV shows as well. There sometimes TV shows you get residual payments from this place, SOCAN, who
Yes. So,
collect royalties. But TV commercials don't deal with royalties. It's just a one-time thing. But so it varies from, you know, uh, whoever happens to license it. I've had quite a few things in films and TV shows and stuff like that.
and Live in Italia is the record you're promoting right now. It's like a love letter to Italy and your friends. You say, It- how'd you come up with that title?
Well, it sort of refers to that we sort of feel like we come to life when we're there. It's like there's something very special about being there. I play with a band of guys called the Gamblers, who are in northern Italy, a town called Chiavari, and they've been working with me as a backup band for 10 or 15 years, I guess. And
So
we
you travel to Europe and perform as well, and these guys are your band over there.
That's right. Yeah. And I produced a record for them of their own material. And they've just become like family, they're like my really good friends. And I was over there with a couple of guys from Canada, musicians from Steve Mariner and Tony D, who have a band called Monkey Junk. They've won 2 Junos
Wow.
because I wrote some of the songs for them is why they won.
The friends you must have for writing amazing songs, sir.
Yeah, the Italian guys are just beautiful, and being there is really nice. So, part of the reason making this record, and this is a COVID record, so it's a funny one. Uh, we had recorded a show last November in Italy, just so we might hopefully be able to use as a recording, and it turned out to be pretty good. So we mixed it, and the label Stony Plain and True North agreed to put it out digitally, and then I did some hard copies myself. So all of a sudden, I've got this beautiful record, and I'm hoping that we can take the money from that to help go back to Italy and visit our friends and play.
And perhaps put out another couple new material, content and stuff too, right?
Yeah, I'm working on making another new record. I try to make a record of original material. I write all my songs. The Live in Italian record, kind of, because
You speak Italian as well?
no, just enough to buy a coffee or tell someone they're beautiful. But no, they like to speak English, so I'm lazy.
And the food that you must have when you go over there must be unreal.
It's unreal. The guys in the band cook, and we cook, and We go out for food. Every moment there is a privilege and a luxury, and a celebration of coolness and, beauty, and it's just relentless.
Can you believe the scenery they have over in Europe compared to what we have here in Toronto? I mean, it's obviously a different type of scenery or an environment, but the unreal views you have in Italy, sir, to be able to find inspiration must be unbelievable.
It's just endlessly spectacular. We recorded this in the northern part of Italy, in the sort of the foothills of the Alps, and everywhere you turn, everything, the it's like a beautiful woman there. The tips of their fingers are beautiful, and in Italy, like the chair legs are beautiful. The ground is beautiful. The stone walkway is fantastic, and all the buildings are, painted in this sort of beautiful color scheme of gold and terracotta. And
It's nostalgic. It sets the mood, right? And that's what you want. When you try and get the blues out, you want to have that inspiration when you walk down the street, whether it's, the beautiful infrastructure, the way the Vatican's designed inside, all that stuff plays a factor. Just so unreal to go write a record and produce it with a different influence other than the North American influence in you, like going and finding that influence across the world. Is that the first time you actually did something like that?
Well, I produced a record for these same Italian guys. They're called the Gamblers, is the name of their band. That was probably about 5 years ago. I went over there, and they wanted to make a record that was similar to one that I'd released prior to that. And I went there, and that was a very interesting, specifically creative process as well, dealing with how they wanted to write songs, how they expressed themselves, and they wanted to sing them in English. So I wrote a lot of the lyrics and helped them with the process. But it did inspire. I mean, the depth of our friendship and just sharing music, and it's such a privilege to share music with people from so far away. It's one of those reminders that wherever you go, you can find people who may become your best friends or your lover or your wife. Like it's people are people everywhere.
Are you going to tell me a love story now, or I'm on the edge of the cliff here?
Oh, I just meant it in,
Wherever you go, you can find music. That I think that's the perfect statement there. You can find music, you can find inspiration, you can find some damn good food that you've never tasted. You can explode your taste buds. You can get drunk as a skunk off something you've never tasted as well. You're a resident performer in a joint in the Danforth in Toronto. Let's talk about that place. Like, how did that happen?
Well, I live close by. I live just north of Danforth in the east end of Toronto, on a street called Greenwood.
Okay.
And, there was a bar nearby called The Only Cafe that I used to write at. They had little tables with lamps, and I would write a lot of my lyrics there. And then one of the bartenders, a woman named Michelle, and her husband, who builds bars, built this place called Sauce, which at that time on Danforth was a bit of a wasteland. It wasn't very gentrified. And they opened up this little place, and it's very New Orleans-y themed. So I eventually did a gig there, and we were playing, and Michelle said, you guys are a little bit loud for the size of the room. It's a very small place. It's a very beautiful red room. So we began to play very quietly, and it was a real revelation for me as a singer and for all of us as musicians. And so we continued to play there every Wednesday night.
Still during the COVID time or no?
No. Everything was shut down, but we've started again. We played there 5 weeks ago, and we're playing there on Tuesday in 2 days from now, or on Wednesday from 2 days from now. And it's, with all the stage 3 protocols, but this club has had it's had an effect on the music. And I've really done some of my best work of my entire life at this little place. It's a phenomenon.
Well, if you ever want to collaborate with Paul Reddick, head on down to the Danforth, the place called the Sauce, right?
Yep, Sauce on Danforth.
That's awesome. A lot of Greeks on the Danforth. I'm Greek, so I've been there numerous times. You ever frequent that town, the Greek town area?
Oh yeah, and well, I'm just west or east of Greektown, and right around here now where I am, it's and where Sauce is kind of Ethiopia town and Eritrea and this Moroccan and Algerian, and then just south of me on Greenwood is Little India. So I live in a combination of very
Culture and
culture and
influence. So what do you like about Toronto? What has kept you there?
well, I think that I'm able to have a lot of great musicians around me that I can play with whenever I need to. And I I love today I was down on the waterfront because I'm a bit of a bird watcher and the fall migration is happening now. So I go down to the parks in the East End in particular, which is where I live. There are beautiful parks. Go down by the lake and then, just the bike trails and things I ride around. And culturally, from the multicultural aspect to the culture of young people, entrepreneurs creating cool hipster coffee shops and all that stuff. I love it.
I love coffee shops. How do you take your coffee?
I take it with cream, but I roast my own coffee in my oven and I make it at home.
Oh, that's what you get with a blues artist. He tells you something you never heard before. That's unreal. So how'd you come about roasting your own coffee?
Well, during the lockdown, it was hard to buy. We're buying everything online. There's a place in Toronto called Merchants of Green Coffee, and I was on their website choosing bags of coffee for curbside pickup. And it mentioned that to roast coffee is essentially making popcorn. You just put some green coffee beans, which you can buy in a cake tin, and cook them at 450 for 10 minutes, and they're done. Then you grind them, and it's so good. So now I buy the green beans at various places, and they're cheaper too.
You do the French press at all?
No, I use it. I do sometimes, but I have a cone, paper cone filter,
Oh,
and you also, I discovered that and I have a hand grinder, an old Turkish hand grinder. I actually hook it up to my cordless drill to hurry it up, but but you use a ratio of 1 gram of coffee to 15 grams of water. So
oh
that's
wow.
the deal. And it's mixed very consistent. I reckon, it's geeky, and I just sort of discovered it. But when I have a coffee now, it is like I'm drinking champagne. It's or cognac. It's really good.
And how many cups do you have a day?
Two.
Two. Two strong cups.
They're pretty strong, but they're
Yeah,
perfect.
I had almost a pot to myself today, and I was like off the wall.
I have two perfect cups of coffee. I mean,
Perfect cups.
it's just sort of funny. It just happened.
How does somebody reach out to you, or are your records available on vinyl at all?
Yeah, I have one on vinyl. The one called "Ride the One" that won the Juno. It's on vinyl, and I have some in my distribution warehouse, which is beside my couch in a box.
Hey, you
And
know what? Like, distribution warehouses, they vary in size, they vary in location. This place is a distribution warehouse. I'm sure. I know I want to get rid of some clutter as well. So if anybody wants to come on down here and take it out, but these records would sound so good on vinyl, and I gotta pick one up because I listen to it on my phone, and it's like, this doesn't do justice. The vinyl feel, the blues feel.
I'm going to put out some more. I'm going to re-release a record that I made 20 years ago called Rattlebag, which I'm going to put it out on vinyl to celebrate its anniversary. But since that, I've done, 5 or 6 records, all of them produced very well. Like I had 2 great producers, Colin Linden, who's sort of a legendary Canadian musician, and a guy, Colin Cripps, 2 Collins. Colin Cripps plays in Blue Rodeo. So they love great sounding recordings. So I'm excited I love hearing this Ride the One on vinyl.
And it'll be as smooth as those 2 perfect cups of coffee you have every morning, right?
A life of luxury.
Paul, I'm really happy we finally did this. talking to a guy who's from Canada, who lives in Canada. He's an amazing blues artist. He'll give you the blues. He might make you cry, but he's more into the blues making music kind of thing. What's your website? How do people go and purchase your records and support you at this time?
It's paulreddick.ca.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
And on Facebook, of course. I'm on Facebook.
You can get in touch with him on Facebook, and you can check him out at the Sauce in downtown, the Danforth in Toronto.
Yes.
On is it Wednesday nights?
Wednesday nights.
Thanks again, man. This has been amazing. It's been a privilege to talk to you. Juno Award-winning artist Paul Reddick on Meet Me for Coffee. He loves coffee. He knows how to make coffee, and he's an amazing artist at that. Take care.
You take it easy. Nice to meet you.
All the best.